have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are ya? How are ya? How are ya? Hope you're having a pretty good sort of a Wednesday and life isn't treating you too badly at all. A little bit of housekeeping to kick off this evening's proceedings. First and foremost, I urge you folks, please head over to our FBN YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type in FBN Media, and you will see the FBN logo that Vince created, and have a bit of a look at something that he put up last night. It's only about 20 minutes long, but if you're in Victoria and if you have an interest in renewables versus nuclear power and coal power supplements in this country, he has done an analysis that is absolutely brilliant, and it really does show what sort of costs we can expect to encounter over the next 100 years. His analysis is very deep. Now, while some of the figures might be a little rubbery around the edges, by and large, this is pretty accurate and should give everybody pause for concern if they are considering in any way, shape or form supporting this climate-crying renewables crap that the Labor government have adhered themselves to so strongly. We are talking a difference not of 10, 20, or even 100 billion with a B dollars. We are talking about multiple hundreds of billions of dollars worth of our money being wasted on things like solar and wind power when compared to the likes of coal-fired generation and, of course, nuclear power stations. And the cost of setting up that infrastructure, new nuclear power stations, and the cost to rebuild those twice. Rebuild from the ground up, not rejuvenate, but rebuild from the ground up twice over a 100-year program. You'll be amazed at the differences in the costs. So I urge you folks, head over to FBN Media on our YouTube channel and check out Vince's show from last night. It is very worthwhile having a bit of a look at. Also, our friends at Cairns News are doing some pretty spectacular stuff too. They have, well, a number of great stories on their front page at the moment, but this one certainly took my eye. And if you, like me, were quite shocked at the answers that Fauci was given, and you thought that he was on the ropes the other day in the Senate and congressional hearing that he was fronting with Rand Paul sitting in the chair, I urge you to have a look at David Martin's video here on the Cairns News website. He describes it as a propaganda video, a smokescreen attempt, and a cover-up that Rand Paul is complicit with in along with Fauci. Fauci, I think we're all pretty much aligned to the fact now that there is practically zero chance that that man will ever be held accountable. And that doesn't leave me great hope to think that too many people in Australia are going to be found accountable for what they did, least of all the TGA or APRA, who are still deregistering doctors like it's just something you do. Only they're deregistering them for things like questioning gender reassignment surgery or not pushing that mantra. It is absolutely friggin' disgusting. And there is more of it coming. Who's in the house tonight early up? Connie, God love you, woman. Hope you are doing well. And Alan and the fam are kicking on. Western Australian Paul is in the house. I see further down in the chat that it's been raining over in Western Australia today. Didn't take the bike out, mate. A Harley. Harleys don't like the rain. I've always told that Harleys were the toughest bikes around. Maybe it's the princess riding it. I'm not sure. Sorry, Paul. Had to throw it again. I understand if you've got a really nice Harley, if you've got a really nice anything, the last thing you want to do is take it out in the rain because you're going to spend hours cleaning it when you get home. I've got so many photos lined up in here for tonight's show that I haven't got some photos that were sent to me today by Walther. There is a huge vintage car meet rally happening on the Sunshine Coast at the moment around Bribey Island and that sort of area. And some of these cars really dating back to the early 1900s. Some of the earliest cars ever built. And he sent me some fabulous photos today. While he was on the way to the hospital, he saw them, and he's been up to Skoo today to have what's left of his foot looked at by the professionals. And they're all very happy that his 3 toes are wiggling just the way that they should, and the 2 missing ones haven't grown back. So all things seem to be proceeding as orderly as one would hope. So good on you, Greg. Hope life's going well for your brother, and keep that smile on your face. Love hearing from you. Hello to everybody in the chat tonight. I see that there's a whole heap of people in early having a chat. G'day, Gail. Toxic, g'day, Rob. Hope you're doing all right out there in Boonar. Pete in Pinaroo is in the house. Andrew in Lightning Ridge. John Belcher, hope you're doing all right. Now, you've got a quacker. You had a Quacker 9. I used to have a Quacker 9, Z900. I also had a Z750 back in the day. The Z750 and I came to grief going around a roundabout when some moron didn't give way, and I had to take evasive action. The bike went one way, I went the other. The bike wound up hitting a gutter and splitting its crankcase open and dropping its gearbox and the contents all over the footpath, which was nice. And what happened to the old Z9? I think she just died eventually. I rode that thing into the ground. It was oh no, I beg your pardon. I didn't have a Z900. I had a Boldor 900, a Honda F2 ex-police bike. No, I don't think I was licensed to ride it at the time, but I won't tell if you don't. G'day, Sandy. Hope you are doing well. The Farrier Day went well on Monday. All the pedicures are done, vet check, grooming, dentistry, worming, and they've had a chiropractic. Crack. Good on them. Bloody good stuff. I hope you and Baz are doing well, darling, and recovering, because I know that those Farrier Days are very, very big days. And thank you to all of the volunteers who go and help with the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary on those days. With 100 or thereabouts donkeys in their care, it does require a lot of people to marshal them around. It's quite a production line, Sandy was explaining to me last time I was down there, and it couldn't be done without the aid of a lot of the volunteers that give their time freely. And I know a lot of you have asked, if you can call in and help at any time, and I'm sure Sandy would love that, but she needs to be a little bit careful, obviously. If you're not used to being around animals, and particularly large, weighty ones, it's probably not for you. But we are talking about having a bit of a camp out at some stage in the general vicinity of the Donkey Sanctuary. May not be at the sanctuary, but in the general vicinity of, and that would mean that we might be able to get a donkey ride happening or something in the not too distant future. And if not, Baz has got one of those great 4-wheel drive, all-terrain, go anywhere kind of buggies. We can take turns in driving that around. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Tony, God love you, mate. You're doing well, and thank you for all the work you're doing for prepping for this weekend. Tony, and Vince will be heading to Manu. Vince, note how I say that, Manu, not Manu. It's Manu. Manu in Victoria this Saturday, the 29th, when One Nation will be coming to town. And when I say town, I mean the silo and the cricket ground, because from memory, that's about all there is in Manu. Pauline could probably land the plane on the footy ground. I don't know that it'll quite be landing there, but she's going to be there along with Barnaby Joyce and the leader of the One Nation party in Victoria will be there too, Mr. Pickering, Warren, I think his name is. So we have arranged to be there. We'll be trying to live stream this event to you from around 7 o'clock or just prior to 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Vince will be there. He'll be our interviewee or interviewer, and Tony's going to be supplying some pictures for us and a second camera as required. He'll probably get involved in talking to a few people who are around there and get a few vox pops and whatnot. We'd love to talk to as many people as possible. If you are going to Manu, I think by now you should have contacted the Farmers Fight Back website and paid for your ticket. I believe there is going to be quite a crowd, quite a considerable crowd, anywhere between 500 and a couple of thousand people, I would expect, and probably more on the end of a couple of thousand. So there will be speeches from around 7 o'clock, and we will get the opportunity to talk with Pauline and Barnaby throughout the evening. That may not be while we are live, though. We'll just see how it all plays out. These things can be a bit weird, but rest assured that we have been given undertakings from the party that we will be allowed to get access. We're also being informed that there are some other alt media folks turning up, the likes of Sam Bamford from Two Worlds Collide and Carl Stefanovic, it appears, might be turning up as well. If you follow this show and you wouldn't mind putting a good word in, make sure Carl learns about who we are here and the fact that there are a lot more questions we'd love him to be asking. And if he has trouble finding those questions, I'm more than happy to help him. We'll see whether or not we can drag him into the true alt media yet. And I don't mean conspiracy theory stuff. I mean very good general questions that people find pretty hard to answer. But at any rate, that's going to happen Saturday night in Manu, and look forward to bringing that to you Saturday night, which might mean I owe you one, because tomorrow night I'm not exactly sure if there is going to be a show. I have a very big day tomorrow, starting pretty early down on the Gold Coast and extending throughout the day down there. Depending on what time in the afternoon what I'm doing finishes, will depend on peak hour traffic and getting back here to fire up the computer and try and get something organised to talk about. So there may or may not be a show tomorrow night. So don't sweat it if there isn't. It's just simply I'm not going to make it back in time from what is going to be a pretty big day on the coast tomorrow. So bear that in mind before you start fretting and worrying about how stupid I've been or what I've done. It's all good. Tomorrow's just one of those days where I'm going to be going, and not stopping hardly at all. All right, let us kick on to Life, the Universe, and everything. Now, in Australia, we love our meat. And paddock-to-plate businesses are thriving in this country. Now, beef producers, cattle producers, sheep, meat producers in general in this country have had control measures placed over them and their herds. There are certain vaccinations that herds have to have, and yada, 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 yada. But we know, or at least we tend to think we know, we believe we know, that for the most part, we believe the meat that's grown in this country is pretty safe. Now, a lot of other countries believe our meat is exceptional as well, and that's why we have such a strong export meat market, including to the United States of America, where you can buy our lamb at fairly high prices. Because they don't want to cut the American farmers out of the market, but they're more than happy to send their crap to us, cutting Australians out of the market. I don't know how these free trade agreements work. They seem to work better for others than they do for Australia at every opportunity, but that's another story. Argentinian meat has been used by Donald Trump and the American administration to make up the difference in the cheap meat areas of sales throughout the United States. Unfortunately, some of the Argentinian beef that they have purchased is rumored to have come from a Chinese shipment that was turned down some time ago. 22 tons worth of it, as a matter of fact, turned down in March and rejected because it had something practically unpronounceable but can't be very good for you in the meat. Now, if that was going to be toxic beef, you've got to think that getting it into American or onto American shelves is not a great thing. And the fact that they've bought this meat very cheaply, and 22 tons of it have gone into the American market, undermining the American ranchers. And the American ranchers have got wind of it. In fact, there is a whole heap of stuff going on in America at the moment where many dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporters are finally giving up. They're tearing down their MAGA flags and throwing their hats in the bin and disavowing Donald Trump and everything and anything to do with him. it does seem to be an interesting time, doesn't it? And the 24th, he's still alive. So he hasn't been assassinated. He hasn't been shuffled off. Although, are we seeing the machinations of a mental health bill being put together to use against him at some point in the not too distant future? There's probably an argument for that. However, his administration is now taking a huge amount of flack for putting what is effectively 22 tons of toxic meat into the American markets. And there is a very large please explain going on there. Now, Australia has also added a please explain because we have been exporting good, untoxic meat to America for a while, and it is through tariffs and other things being pushed out. So maybe this could be a turning point for those tariffs on imported meat, and our Australian meat will start doing much better. I really hope so. You can check out a lot more stories regarding our meat trade, our international meat trade, and of course what our government is doing to it through the Cairns News, which is cairnsnews.org, if you are wanting to go and check out the website. And as I said before, please, did I show this to you? I think I did, didn't I? Go and check out this magnificent video that is on the front page of the Cairns News website, because that Dr. David Maloney, some of the things he has to say in that are going to blow you away. You might find some of them just a little bit upsetting because it would indicate that, well, you can't trust either side of the argument, basically. No fun at all. Well, if you want fun, apparently Germany is the place to go for fun. Now, we all know what fun people the Germans are. They are for joy jumping on a regular basis, and they have been regular joy jumpers, well, all the way through the 1900s, all the way through the late 1800s, and, of course, through a significant period in the 1920s and 30s when Germany was known as all sorts of weird, wonderful, debauched entertainment providers. Now there is a young German who has decided to run for the German parliament, and he has an idea that will bring all Germans and their parliamentarians closer together. This is a serious idea. A nudist German politician wants orgies at City Hall. It'll be the ultimate closeness with citizens. Group sex with city council members would be the ultimate in closeness with the citizens. From old what's his nut there. Having been to a few council meetings and seen the old farts that tend to populate the chairs, I find that not necessarily the most appealing of thoughts. And, well, Germany, very progressive nation. Although at the moment they're having the progressiveness kicked the shit right out of them because of the immigration that's gone on in their nation and the out-of-control abuses that are happening on their streets every day by the illegals who have crossed into their nation. We'll talk more about them in the near future. At the moment, in Victoria, it's a serious problem, but I would say this problem is, to an extent, being felt by everybody in every state. But I don't think anywhere outside of Victoria is feeling it quite to the extent that they are. And I'm talking about potholes. Now, it was only a week or so ago that we got reports of 50 cars hitting a pothole on a one stretch of road, 26 or 23 kilometres from the CBD of Melbourne. And that pothole was shattering wheels, blowing tyres, tearing suspension parts out. And this bit of road that I'm showing you isn't even the bit of road I'm talking about. How would you go about avoiding those potholes and staying safe if you were driving a truck? It doesn't have to be a semi-trailer, just something that has a wider than your average car's wheelbase. Because an average car wheelbase will slip down that left-hand side and still be on the road. But there won't be a truck that can do that. There won't be anything that's got a 2 metre or a 2.3 metre wheelbase on it that will be able to do that. And if you look closely at the sign in the left-hand side of the picture there, it is a sign to go off and have a look at how beautiful the windmill structures are. But it looks like it's been peppered with shotgun pellets, and it's sort of dropped and hanging and all that. I have it on reliable authority that nobody has fired any kind of weapon at that sign. It has been peppered by the chunks of road that have come out of the road, leaving those holes. And cars driving past it throw these stones up, and they are slowly but surely battering that sign into submission. Welcome to bloody Victoria. But it gets worse. I thought this was a photoshopped image. All right? I just thought, that's pretty funny. There's a lady who's climbed into a hole. But there is a whole story about that hole and the lady who has climbed into it. She is 5'9" in height. That would have to make that hole 3.5 foot deep at the very least. I don't know how long that hole would be, because I'm pretty confident these holes don't just go straight down. They widen out quite a lot, and it'll have a lot to do with water under the road. I'm still not completely sure that this isn't AI'd, because there are certain things I would look for in the road surface that I'm not seeing. Mainly, to get a hole of that sort of size and nature, you've got to have a lot of water trapped under the bitumen, and that shows signs in other areas. So maybe smile at that one, but don't put too much credibility into it. Fingers crossed. All right, folks, we've talked a lot about self-managed super funds in this show over the last 3 or 4 years. Many of you have decided to take up the opportunity to get out of big super and take control of your wealth going forward. And you have, through Freedom Financial Solutions, set yourself up a self-managed super fund. Maybe it wasn't through them. Maybe you went off and did it by yourself, or did it some other way. Congratulations if that is the case. Now, Cass has been warning us for some time that the government have been planning all manner of strange things with your superannuation. The only thing she could absolutely guarantee you was that they wanted their hands on your money. And in the last 24 hours or so, a lot of truth to that has been released. Self-managed super funds face an investment veto from the ATO under sweeping changes. What does this mean? This means that the ATO can effectively put a stop on you accessing your big super funds and putting them into a self-managed super fund. They're taking away your ability and what little control of your super you currently have in big super permanently. They have not yet made it illegal to set up a self-managed super fund, and we'll try and have Cass on early next week for a bit of a chat about what's going on with the ATO, ASIC, and their move at the moment to try and scare financial service providers, particularly accountants, into not providing self-managed super funds and setting them up for their clients. Why? Well, Albo, Sleazy & Co. have signed a deal to give $1.4 trillion of our super, of your super, to the Americans and going into their, call it, superannuation market. Now, they haven't had a superannuation market before. Donald Trump was very impressed with what happened with Australia's, and now he's convinced dickhead Albanese some months ago to sign an agreement to send $1.4 trillion of Australian super offshore out of Australia to benefit Americans and American projects going forward. It's not going to benefit us. This on top of however many billions of dollars we are going to be paying for those AUKUS submarines, which we still may or may not get, but we are very definitely going to be paying for. This is... Look, at best, it is a level of incompetence that is staggering. And I do not know how we can allow it to continue for another 2 years. I don't know how it can be allowed to continue, what state this nation will be in 2 years' time if this Labor government are allowed to continue. But they are going to keep pushing this and pushing it very, very hard. Now, they've given the ATO the power to stop you from moving your superannuation money into a self-managed super fund. Why would they want to do that? Well, according to them, it's to keep you safe, of course. Of course it is, because so many people in self-managed super funds have lost all their money, haven't they? No, that isn't the case. Self-managed super funds are very highly regulated as well. And if you are silly enough to go and spend that nest egg, let's say you get your super out, you convert it to gold or silver, and then you decided over time to go and cash that in the course of a year, maybe you needed, to sell a couple of bars of silver to get you through. Come the reporting time at the end of the financial year, they're going to see, because you have to supply pictures, they're going to see that you're 2 bars short. You will get in a shitload of trouble and run great potential to lose a lot more of your super if you do that sort of thing. Are you responsible enough to manage your own superannuation? Are we happy to take responsibility for ourselves going further and into the future, rather than hoping that Albo Sleazy or the next numpty that gets elected in his place is going to do the right thing by you and what is your survival nest egg for when you retire? Or have you, like me, just given up any idea of retirement? There won't be a retirement for the likes of me. There can't be. We don't have enough to survive. And I am but one of millions who are in exactly the same boat. We are the kind of people that the government absolutely wants to get on the tit. They want us sucking on the government tit. They want us to be part of that 18% and growing portion of the Australian population that is beholden entirely to the government for their existence. Well, a lot of people on X have had a bit to say about this. The super industry starts to see a material exodus of funds to self-managed super funds. They'll be lobbying Canberra pretty aggressively, if they're not already. Anyone with a brain cell and a reasonable nest egg should move their money out. These are just some of the Twitter comments or X comments that I saw. If you don't have an SMSF, then you should. I saw the rort in 2008 and created one soon after the start of the GFC, when my fund lost dollars on dodgy investments. I'm in control of my retirement. It is a magnificent feeling to have that control too, folks, I can guarantee you. Got to keep that sweet cash tied up in their union-controlled super funds. For those of you that are unaware, Cbus Super is a union. It's union-owned and controlled. There are other big super companies, including Australian Super, that have huge amounts of union money invested in it. And where do the profits go that union money generates? Not to you. Not to you, even if you're a union member. Guaranteed. These bastards look after themselves first, foremost, and at all times first. If you can't control where to invest and where to move funds, then it's not your money. Few lucky people will manage to get hold of their money. Many will see nothing by the time they retire. And that is the big plan, folks. What happens if you are 58 now? You've got, well, in theory, you can access your super at 60, but you can't retire until you're 67. If you've got a job, you're going to want to work until you're 67. Keep adding to that super nest egg. But what happens in the next 11 years to your super account before you can touch it? How much of the super that you generate, how much of your nest egg is going to go into dodgy US investments? And are you standing to win or gain anything greater for allowing your nest egg to be invested in American projects than you would if it remained in big super here in Australia and was invested in, a nation-building project here rather than, on the other side of the world? We have a lot of things to consider, and superannuation, if you are still in big super, you need to act now and as rapidly as possible to set yourself up in a self-managed super fund before the government guillotines debate on this subject and rams through legislation that locks you out of any control at all of your super. And then those of us with self-managed super funds are going to have to keep both eyes wide open for the attacks that are inevitably going to come on our super nest eggs, our self-managed super funds. And they will, rest assured, folks, they will be looking to take that off you at every friggin' opportunity. Why? Because that's the kind of bastards they actually are. Consistent, though, hey? How would you like to be this fella? A Syrian clan leader, 32 children. He gets 100,000 euros in child benefits from the German state. 2/3 of the nuclear family have criminal records. Now, this bloke, 32 members of the family, gets over 100,000 euro, and the majority of members in that family have criminal records. The guy's a clan leader from Syria, just operating out of Germany. That's happening in Germany, but you can be guaranteed it's happening here too, folks, because we are driving hard to get as many new Australians in here as we possibly can and get them doing all the jobs that apparently Australians don't want to do. Well, at least the ones that AI haven't taken over yet, I suppose. So where are, well, no, I won't go there just yet. Let's change tack a little bit. Let's go to Ukraine. Now, some interesting things are happening in Ukraine. The war's been going on there for a long time. And of course, Ukraine have been talking up just how badly Putin has been doing with regards to fighting them. They claim that they are winning the war against Russia, that Russia is suffering catastrophic losses, and that they plan to march into Moscow, take down Putin any day now. Really? I don't know that that's the case, because there are now multiple reports coming out of the Ukraine that they are going to be changing their legislation and will now start drafting women into the fight. Yes, women. Now, if you are unaware, the men of Ukraine have been drafted into the fight in varied ways. Some of them have turned up at recruiting offices and volunteered. The vast majority of them, for the last 2 years anyway, or probably longer, 3 years, have been abducted off the streets and put to work in the military, used as fodder, if you like, against the Russian onslaught. Now, if Ukraine was doing so very well against Russia, why are they now having to consider legislation to allow them to conscript women into the fight? You'd only do that if you don't have enough men left, wouldn't you? Sometimes the logic is a little bit lost on us. Now, some interesting figures have come to light in the last couple of days regarding immigrant levels in America, and this more pertains to mosques and that sort of thing. Now, in America, the growth in mosques has been rather interesting to see. From 1950, where there were 15 registered mosques across the USA, there was modest growth in sort of 10-year cycles until around 2010, where things started to grow pretty significantly, or 2008, when things started to grow significantly. Now there are just under 3,200 mosques registered in the USA. But what about in Australia? Well, our mosques are experiencing a similar kind of growth spurt. Now, back in 1950, we had 10. In 1960, we had 14. In 70, we had 18, 30, 45. And the solid figure that we have in 1994 was 57 mosques around the country. The figure 90, 100, 175 have been extrapolated using other figures, because there has been no critical government count of all of this until around 2024, when they did another one and found there were over 340 mosques in the country. Now, 18 months after that, we've got 500 plus, and that number is growing. We do get a little bit concerned about terror and the nations that provoke terror. And there are any number of those nations. In fact, I did a little, now where's the video for that? Hang on a minute. Let me just get this figure up. Where are we? Oh, that's the one I wanted. Sorry, I had a graph that I thought I'd loaded, but I didn't. So here's the graph that I thought I'd loaded, but I hadn't. These are the approximate memberships ranked of terrorist and militant organizations in the world. The Houthis are currently listed at the top, somewhere between 150 and 200,000 members. Hamas are in there too. And then you can see that the numbers of terrorist or militant organizations drops off. There is a bit of a map to show you where Australia is getting our immigrants from. And funnily enough, that map matches up fairly significantly with this map, which shows those terrorist nations and where the vast majority of these religious terrorist organizations are currently situated. More of them, however, are coming to Australia. Now, there are 3 phases of Islam. I believe we are currently in the second phase. The first phase is there's few in number. They're oppressed, and Islam is oppressed. They play the victim. They claim Islamophobia, and they want people to be more tolerant of them, yada, yada, yada. Well, we've been through that, and we are well into phase 2, where there is a large minority, and they are quite indignant. They are threatening, they are demanding, and they are intolerant of anything that isn't their way. We are slightly approaching, I think, phase 3, and in certain areas we've already punched through into phase 3, but phase 3 isn't broadly in operation across this nation, at least not yet. But it is something we are obviously paying attention to, and the numbers are there. Our security services are doing these graphs. What is it that they're worried about? Why would they need to do all this sort of investigation? And then why do they need to hide it? Well, I think the Batuta Advocate's got it pretty well planned out. Tony Burke is going to listen to his Lebanese, Chinese, and Bangladeshi constituents and vows to be much tougher on Indians, which is basically how the Australian government, the Australian Labor government, play it. They know at the moment which side of the bread is being buttered and whom is doing the buttering. And right now, it is all of the immigrants coming into this country that are buttering Australia's bread. And without it, we would be in a very deep, dark recession. Bring on the recession, I say. Couldn't be any worse. Scams. Well, there are some big scams. Oh, no, actually, before I go on to scams, just touching on the people that we are bringing into this country. Now, I don't really give a shit what religion you are. All I care about is that you're a good human being, that you want the best for yourself and for others, and that you are a helper, not a hurter. But I received a video today, and some of you are going to find this quite distressing to watch. I know I did. Prepare yourself. These are the kinds of people that we are welcoming into this country.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
I mean, God. Makes me so angry. So angry. And that just means, folks, we need to keep a very vigilant eye out of who's coming through our gates. And the bastards who are supposed to be our gatekeepers need to be made responsible for those they are letting through. We've been talking about flock cameras a lot on this program, not because they're available in Australia. They're not yet. Flock Safety has not released in Australia, although they are potentially putting out for work. And it is possible that an Australian company might buy into that, change the name of whatever they call these things here, and we might see them being spread out. Keep an eye out for that. But Halloween is coming up, and it's going to be a very bad night in America for the flock cameras. There are now groups of people coming together, organizations coming together, and being a night in America where you can dress up and be in disguise, be completely unrecognizable. You can go as a pumpkin. Nobody's going to stop you. There is going to be a concerted effort, from what I've been told, on Halloween in America, that flock cameras will be going down all over the nation, being cut down and destroyed. That hasn't stopped the CEO of Flock coming out and trying to make excuses for it.
I value my privacy. My family values their privacy. My employees value their privacy. But what we're talking about is safety as well. And so I think when people talk about just one of these, privacy or safety, they're prioritizing the wrong thing. And what we have to prioritize as a country is compromise. How do we have our safety, and how do we balance privacy? And so when I think about legislation that calls for an outright ban, that's like banning vehicles. That would never have made sense. Instead, what we did is we introduced laws against drunk driving. We introduced laws around seatbelts, laws around airbags.
How to simplify this shit for your safety. Oh, yeah, we just put laws around it. Laws don't get broken, do they? Laws don't get taken advantage of. Laws don't get interpreted in different manners and different ways, do they? God, no. Absolutely disgusting. Keep Flock out of your life and anybody that you know. Now, in the UK, we know that there has been a lot of public action, a lot of distrust. The Poms are up in arms about levels of immigration in their country. And people are quite frankly asking, well, what the hell are you going to do about it? Now, in Australia, there has been a number of attempts at putting together a nationalist group, if you like. They've been broadly tarred as Nazis, probably by people who don't actually understand what a Nazi was. But that's another term and story for another time. I will show you, though, that in the UK, I don't know that these blokes are being called Nazis, but there is certainly a very open effort to start uniting Englishmen against the invasion of their nation.
We're not asking anyone to do anything illegal. We don't need to do anything illegal. But my fucking God, lads, it's time we done something. Yeah? We've done something. Come on! They're taking the fucking piss. They are taking the absolute piss out of us. Now, anyone that knows what's happened the other day with the leaflets should be the turning point for understanding that you don't have a choice now. You have to commit to this. We're not looking for people that say, well, you know, I might get involved, I might do this, I might do that. It's not about that. We don't want you go home. What we want are those men of this country that are committed to taking a stand. And we're going to do it disciplined. What I saw in Southampton, when these lads were throwing stuff at the police, fighting with the police, they're angry. I got it. I understood it. I was in the same mind frame. I understood it. But where do you think they are right now? They're all in prison. They're all in prison. Anyone that knows anyone that's got something about them will know that the threat of the violent act is more powerful than the violent act itself. Because as soon as you show your hand, that's it. That's over. So what we're doing today is we're going to put you into different groups. We're going to find out who you are and we're going to vet you. And then in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to ask you to be part of one of the biggest pushbacks this country has seen from its men since World War II. Are you up for it or what? And this is a message to the women. Let me tell you now, lads, some of these women in this country have shown us how it's done in recent months and recent years. Yep. They are as strong as us mentally, and they know what needs to be done. And we want to build a patriotic women's army to take on them as much as the men are.
They're mobilising in the UK, and very, very strong words. But why such strong words? Why do they feel they have to come out? Well, maybe this dear lady is as good as example as any other.
In my opinion, I feel that the police are now so racist towards anyone white or English, or anyone who even looks like me. I would never dare speak to them to report crime. I would not email them or phone them. I do not trust them not to be racist towards me. And at a residents' meeting on Thursday, I was not able to come here last Thursday because I went to a residents' police meeting. I told the police straight, I will never report crime to you. I will never speak to a police person alone. I do not trust you. You are racist towards the English and white people, and we will not stand for it.
So many people are saying exactly the same thing here in Australia. Our police forces have lost trust with the people they are meant to serve and protect. Although I don't think to serve and protect is anything the Australian police forces and members have signed up to in their oath or anything else in quite some time. And that's really a sad state of affairs. In Australia, the NSN has been banned politically. One of their members was buried this week. He died allegedly at his own hand after finally succumbing to the never-ending pressure, I suspect, that had been placed on him by various governments and police forces for his involvement in wanting to be patriotic. There are others in those groups who have gone into hiding, and there is yet more who seem to be living a reasonably good life, call it regrouping at the moment maybe, while High Court challenges are mounted against a government that's hell-bent on keeping patriotism well out of the Australian narrative. It's a very, very dangerous thing that we do. Because our people do not, we as Australians, do not seem to have a reign of any kind on our politicians, where will this end? Where would the likes of Albanese, and look, colour me purple, I'm a little confused as to how Albanese can still be the preferred Prime Minister in this country, given the current polls and ratings. I mean, seriously, how on earth could anybody think that that moron is better than practically a turnip could leave the country freaking better than this bloke? So, not that we take much notice of the polls, do we, folks? Because we all know polls can be interpreted in different ways, and it all depends what questions you're asking and what answers you get out of that. So, I think that our polls coming out in the media are trying to keep the fight interesting. But I think we're going to see an example on Saturday night in Manu, where there is nothing but farming houses for hundreds of kilometres in different directions, very small towns, and I mean very, very small towns. A little place like Sananad or Rapanyup or Minyup are sort of the closest places, Stall, to where Manu is. These aren't giant cities. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Manu Cricket Club showgrounds full up on Saturday night with support for One Nation Victoria, particularly as One Nation's national leader Pauline Hanson and Barnaby Joyce are going to be there as well. I think in Victoria, the bastardisation that has gone on with our farmers down there, the pure roughshod riding over the top of them. Clearly, people in the bush have had enough of it. Are their city cousins actually awake enough, in touch enough, aware enough to do something about it too. Well, that's where the battle line will be, folks, because the country, I think, is very definitely, the regional areas of Victoria are definitely going to fall behind One Nation. And I think some city areas will too. But the Melbourne heartland, those big seats, they're the ones where the battle is going to be strongest. And these are full of green retards and Labor communists who will do anything and everything to make sure that Labor retain power. Why? Well, because there's a highly good chance that they're all going to go to jail when their corruption and illegalities are exposed by, fingers crossed, the next government that comes in Victoria. And it is fingers crossed, because at the end of the day, who really knows what they're going to do, the bastards. And we do know that this government, when it gets elected, will be overseeing the beginning stages of AI being released into Victoria. It'll be overseeing the completion of a number of massive data centers that are being built for AI. 1,000 tickets sold for Manu. Thanks, Tony. Well, that just means there's 1,000 people who are going to want to feed. But the football ground will hold, I would say, 3,000 to 5,000 people. And if they all don't want to feed, they all don't have to line up for it or pay their $50 for a ticket. And if the PA is loud enough, they'll be able to hear it wherever. Some would say Pauline's voice carries without the use of a PA. So I don't know. We'll see. I was heading off to somewhere there before I thought that. Oh, yes, right. Talking about AI and the overseeing of AI data centers and what that means for our future. Well, an interesting video passed by me today, and I thought, I'm probably going to get banned for playing this to you, but I am going to play this to you because I think it is a great, truly great representation of what our future will look like, I would say within inside 20 years, if we don't seriously do something about the crap that is going on in this country now. This is a 6-minute video, folks. Sit down, watch it, take it in, and be a little scared.
Identity confirmed. Mateo Torres, you are under arrest. Please put these on.
Why? I didn't do nothing. I'm just going to work.
Failure to comply will result in the use of non-lethal force. Final warning.
Please place your personal items into the box.
This is a mistake. Can I speak to a human? Human?
Please proceed to cell block C14. Welcome to Correcticorp. We at Correcticorp Detention Facility want to make your stay the best it can be.
No, thank you. I want to speak to a lawyer.
Hi, I'm Ben Saperstein. And I am Halo. Do not worry, we are here to help.
Oh. Public defender.
Please wait.
There is an 89.5% chance you will be found guilty.
Guilty of what?
This ruling will likely carry a sentence of 45 to 47 years in prison. I recommend that you plead guilty. A plea bargain may result in a lesser punishment of 5 to 7 years.
Plead guilty to what?
Are you sure you want to plead guilty?
No.
To confirm your decision.
No, I'm not guilty.
Are you sure you want to plead not guilty?
I didn't do anything.
I'm sorry. I didn't get that. Please try again.
I want to speak to a human being.
Would you like to place a call?
Yes.
Who would you like to call?
The chief of police. The human one.
Please accept the terms and conditions in order to place your outgoing...
Thank you for calling the LAPD. A human representative will be with you shortly. Please hold.
Hey, what does that mean?
You authorized the transfer of funds from your bank to place a call to...
The chief of police. The human one.
At $3 per minute for 114 minutes.
What? You never said that.
You have a lot of time on your hands.
Shut up! Hey!
Are you going to sleep? Would you like the lights to be turned off for a more comfortable sleep?
Yes.
I'm sorry. You have insufficient funds to turn off the lights.
Finding you have a lot of time on your hands? Learn a trade. Earn an hourly wage.
To take control of your life, say handmade today.
Handmade.
Lunch is served.
There you are. I've been trying to call you.
Hi,
Where are you? Did you get a new apartment?
No, I'm in jail.
Dios mío.
Mama, we don't have much time. It costs money to talk.
Mateo, he's calling from jail.
Jail? There's been a mistake. I need money for a defense lawyer. $10,000.
$10,000?
I can pay you back somehow. I just need it. Otherwise, I'm gonna die here.
You have insufficient funds.
Oh, fuck!
Mateo Torres, please enter a plea for your trial.
Looks like your trial is ready. I strongly recommend you plead guilty. A plea deal will result in a lesser punishment of 5 to 7 years. Please say, I plead guilty to accept.
Wait!
Please state your plea.
Wait!
Sorry, I didn't get that. Do you want to enter a guilty plea? Please say, I plead guilty to accept.
I plead guilty.
Say yes to confirm your guilty plea.
Yes!
I'm sorry, did you say yes? Please say yes to confirm.
No, not guilty! Not guilty! Ready to win. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Torres. I'm looking through your file, and frankly, it doesn't look good. I strongly suggest you take the plea deal that they've offered you.
But I didn't do anything.
Mr. Torres. Damn it, not again.
What?
Son, stay there. Just wait.
No.
We hope you enjoyed your stay. Please exit the room to start the discharge process. Hi, Mateo. This is Anna. This is your second day of work. You've missed that notice.
We're sending you the money.
Just wanted to let you know you're fired. Torres, all of us here at Handmade hope this message finds you well. We wanted to remind you that Handmade is hiring. We offer you the opportunity to work from the comfort of your own home.
I don't know how that lands with you, but with me, it resonates very strongly with everything I'm seeing at the moment. And it has to be avoided at all costs. In fact, I have experienced elements of that sort of behavior already, and I'm sure many of you have, particularly if you're dealing with an automated telephone service or an AI system, AI phone system. Banking has got better. I think they've employed 2 or 3 more people now to actually pick up the phones at banks rather than to try and get it all sorted using their electronic chats. And one of those chat bot things, which is meant to take over and make life very easy. Personally, I have a relationship that bordered on, well, I suppose you could nearly call it homicidal. But I couldn't kill the Telstra chatbot, regardless how many times I abused the shit out of it and tried to pull its wires through its neck hole. But these chatbots are getting better and better all the time. And in fact, you are watching those chatbots come brought to life on your social media every day now. It's very hard to tell what's real and what isn't. That's why we hope you stick around here at the Voice of Freedom, because we always try and tell you what's real. And if we tell you it's real and we find out later that it isn't, well, we will tell you that we're a dickhead and we were wrong, and don't rely on us for that bit of information. Hopefully, what we give you here is something you get a bit of benefit out of, even if it's only just to bring you a smile in a time where you need one. And if you can help us out, that'll bring a smile to our face too. You can see Ben crawling across the bottom of the show all night. If you want to donate, you can do that at vofhq.com/donations. Or better still, you can go and help us by buying a piece of merch through our merch.vofhq.com/shop website. And Vince has done a bit of work in there recently. We've got a few new things loaded up. So please pop in there, have a bit of a look, and see what you think. All right, folks, going to love you and leave you for tonight. And tomorrow, depending on what's going on in the world, I might be able to do a live off the phone at some stage throughout the day if something big happens. I would caution you folks, if you are in the gold and silver business, it's pretty interesting at the moment. Buy in the dip is what I'm going to say. We haven't quite crashed back into the $100 an ounce zone yet, but we are very, very close. And it's interesting to watch the market being worked at the moment by external forces. And silver particularly is holding up pretty well. Gold is bouncing really nicely. And if you own some of it, rest safe in the knowledge it's probably going to be worth more in about a minute than it is right now, because that's the way it's been trending recently. Thank you for your support tonight. God love you all, and God bless you all. And we look forward to catching up with you again, and maybe at some stage throughout the day tomorrow. And if not, there won't be a show tomorrow night, depending on what happens tomorrow afternoon. But I will be back for Friday, of course, and Vincenzo will be joining us, where you'll be able to ask as many questions as you like of him about his numbers, be them soggy or stiff. If you have questions about his analysis of the Victorian power grid and what it's going to cost going forward in the 4 different areas that he took a look at, there he is. He's got a few of them thrown up there. We'll have a chat about that on Friday night as well. Thank you very much for your love and support, folks. Really enjoy having your company here. I've spoken to a lot of you in the last 24, 48 hours or so about various different things. Thank you for your counsel, for those of you that I pick up the phone and ring, or those who pick up the phone and ring me. Thank you. A lot of what I do, I couldn't do without you, and you know who you are. So thank you, folks. God bless you all. And remember, there are dickheads on those roads everywhere. Avoid them if you can. I'll be the one to avoid tomorrow.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!